heavy tech business, you're going to have the tech people taking more of the share because that is essentially the product. You know, but there are rules of thumb. I mean, I would argue if you don't have a shareholder rights agreement that says, you know, one CEO or the founder votes everyone's shares, then everyone else should probably get a lot less shares because they're putting the rest of the company at risk. If you've got the third and third, and one-third guy decides he wants to go fly jets, but he's the decider between the two, that person who's flying jets is getting, you know, emails about you need to make the final decision. That's probably not a good thing for the business and not the investors. You know, the vesting thing, I'm not sure how I feel about that as a founder. I mean, I've never done so. I mean, I have no problem with investing and went back to the other founders, but to have to go back to the other, you know, investors seems to be strange. But that's, you know, I love Howard's on there.
No, it's a cause that causes a lot of that anguish at different points, and sometimes it does. Sometimes you put it back in the option pool. You don't give it to the investor. You just have to give it
to the option back to the founders, or does
it's in the option pool, which whoever else gets hired over time. So it doesn't go to anyone in essence, but it's there so you can reallocate it. Yeah.
This is very useful to listen to. Any questions on this part?
I've got an idea and I'm working really hard on it. I do not have a co-founder and I acknowledge I would like one. Is it kind of either or? Like, should I just keep working at it or slow down a little?
Well, if you're a real entrepreneur, you're not going to slow down. I mean, you're going to keep working at it, right? And but you should add to your task list finding a co-founder. It is a lot easier for at the venture level for us to invest in a team. You know, we worry about the proverbial Russ coming along and that kind of thing. If you have a single founder, you worry about that a little bit. You know that I'm very fond of a quote from Stephen Sinai, which is having just the vision's no solution. Everything depends on execution. That means you need both vision and execution skills. And there are people who have both, but they're rare. And it's more likely to find out with the team. So we'd rather see some semblance of team. You can outsource so much today. I mean, you know, if you're building a website, you can outsource a lot of that. You know, that doesn't have a particular technical flavor to it. And you can go pretty far to develop and prove the point of a concept without a lot of co-founders involved. But when you really get to starting to market it, get large users, we'll need them. So.
Plus, as you go out there promoting your stuff, you usually get into finding the person who falls in love with it and wants to join this. I think Jeff said that earlier, which is he was going out there promoting it, and that's when he found someone who said, you know, I want to be that person.
I seem to find it crucial where do you realize, where do you know that you need a venture partner or you need an angel investor? At which stage of the company you actually make that choice? I mean, okay, so if you're looking for, say, $1 million, right? But you have no cash, so chances are the institution is probably not going to work with you.
This is more like a funding question, or not like a co-founder question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you like.
Quick answer. First round, why don't you go to angels?
I mean, if institutionally, I mean, founders' money is generated.
Yeah, I think the only way you get good investment terms is by having competitive bidding. So I think you talk to everyone who might write you a check. And I think, in my experience, generally, angels come first, and it's worth it because you actually get a better valuation on the later round. There are a small number of high-quality VCs that actually play very nicely with angels and often lead angel rounds or substitute for angels. But I would pursue both.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, angels would definitely come first. There is this group of funds. First round was kind of the leading fund when we started this, was the first ones, which were sometimes called super angel funds. And now in New York, you've got Rogers started one. You've got Metamorphics, you've got us, you've got DataWorks, kind of a bunch of players in that. But we typically will want a little bit more than just an angel time. And so I would say you start off with the angels at that stage. If you don't have any traction or anything to show. So we will sometimes fund napkins. Usually it's for serial entrepreneurs or somebody who's succeeding.
And on that, the process of presenting to a VC or an angel, I think often can get you connected with a potential co-founder. So, a investor meeting can actually be the beginning of a long-term relationship. They may not invest for another year, 2 years, 3 years, but there's a reasonable chance they're going to make valuable introductions in Europe. They're good.
If you have a great idea, should you take steps to protect it before finding a co-founder? And if so, what steps should you take?
Should you protect your idea?
Yeah, should you take your idea before you find a co-founder? There's a lot of paranoia among inventors and founders. And in some cases, if it's a biotech thing, there are reasons to go try to do something to protect it, filing for a provisional patent. Most of the time, it's not a valuable thing. Most of the time, it is much more about execution than it is about protecting that idea. So, it's hard to get people to sign NDA. We don't sign non-disclosure agreements. The reason we don't sign it is because when an idea is kind of ripe, we'll probably see 6 or 8 or 10 of the same business plan coming in from 10 different groups, all of whom have thought about the same idea because somehow it's in there. Well, location-based services. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to apply location-based in a particular way. So we'll see 20 different location-based couponing things, and some will be successful and some won't. More because of the execution than the fact that it's a great idea. So I would err on the side of less protection early than more. But I'm different than other people.
The ones who read my book will be successful, so location-based services.
Let's say you're fortunate enough to raise some money from angels. How do you feel about a founder taking a salary? How much and what circumstances, etc.?
The easiest answer to that is, the more capital you have to raise, the more you're diluted. If you believe in the future value of your company, there's a multiple attached to the stock. If you can't survive, then yeah, so be it. But move in with a friend and cook them dinner at night in exchange for free food and live on someone's couch as long as you can. There's nothing more expensive than the cash you're going to need in the earlier years. So the longer you can string it out, without putting the company at risk, the more it ends up much later down the road. And the statistics of how much founders walk away with the actual economic returns is staggeringly low for the amount of risk they take.
We just sold Invite Media to Google last week. The founders, Nat Turner and Zach, in the first year took $35,000 a year as salary. We insisted actually that they take that, and then it moved up a little as they raised some more money, but they never really took serious salary for just the reasons Steve said. But we don't want starvation either. So you got it. So and it depends on what stage of life you're at. If you're a founder with 2 kids and a private school and so on, you're just at a different stage than if you're just out of college and with fewer responsibilities. But that money is expensive money.
And there are food stamps and other things that salary.
Okay, everybody's getting the great advice. Actually, I have one question, if I may. I recently heard this question asked on the Google I/O panel to Albert Wenger and Chris Dixon. They were all like technical VCs. They knew how to program. The question is more like to Howard, actually. At Jeff, you also do angel investments, right? Stewart, do you do investments? Okay, so they all have money, guys. You can talk about it. But the question is, would you fund a team that has no technical founders?
It depends on the business. The answer is yeah. It's slightly less likely, but it depends on the business.
But what if, let's say, not thinking against NDAs, but 2 NDAs outsourcing development to Pakistan, and would you fund them? That's the question.
We have. I funded a lawyer and an MBA who outsourced the development things back to Pakistan. It's called Intelligize, and we funded it, and recently Reed Ventures came into it and is doing quite well. But it's less usual. They didn't have this very strong technical lead right at the beginning, then they were able to hire people.
How many people here are tech people? Well, it depends. If it had been like all been MBAs, I would have been like, nah, don't worry about it.